Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Gregory Martin, aka the Super Producer, and we're back with another video. But before we get into the video, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It keeps you notified whenever I post a new video. And with that being said, let's just jump right into today's video. And today we're discussing how I made my first film for $16,000. So this may be a fairly long video, however, I will try to be as concise as possible, but I also want to make sure I give as much information. And after I'm done doing the video, if you guys have any questions or comments, you can just put that down below, or feel free to shoot me an email. And these things that I've listed, they're not particularly in any order. These are things I just kind of like put them on paper and said I need to discuss these points. But with that being said, let's just jump right into today's topic. So just from the start, like I said, $16,000, I made my first film. And this was my first film that I've ever created, ever in my life. I wrote the script. So one of the first things you need to do when you know that you have a very strict budget, $16,000 is not a lot of money by any stretch of the imagination, but it really depends on your story. And one of the first things that I made sure I did was I made sure my idea didn't exceed my budget. Typically, you know, scripts are made, people write script, but not necessarily the budget being the first thing that you think about. You just want to get that material on paper, on your computer. You're just writing the concept. You're filling in the characters, you're filling in the plot, you're filling in all of these components that complete your script. You're not necessarily think about how much it costs until someone greenlights the script. However, when you have a concrete amount of money, you need to contain your material as much as possible to shoot your film. And that's kind of what I did. My first film, and a lot of you guys have probably seen it, I posted it on my channel, Marked Man. And those 9 minutes that you see was actually a portion of a larger script. The original script for Marked Man was, I want to say, 120 odd pages. However, I wanted to shoot kind of a demo trailer for the feature, and so I took a section of the script that I could shoot fairly cheaply, that didn't involve a lot of locations, didn't involve a lot of actors, and something I could, we could shoot pretty quickly, pretty efficiently, and get it in the can. So I took 9 to 10 pages from that 120 page script, and I tailored those 9 to 10 pages in a way that I can tell the story within 9 minutes. So you get the tone, you get the characters, you get who the protagonist is, convey the themes of the overall script. I really honed in and made sure that I could shoot something that looked good, told a story that conveyed to the audience something bigger. And I really focused on doing that. With $16,000 in mind, the locations, the actors, the props, I tailored to make sure I fit into my budget constraints. So after I got those 9 to 10 pages in a place that I really felt comfortable, I could really budget the script. So I was able to do proper breakdowns of the actors I needed, the props I needed, the script, food, equipment, how many shooting days I would need. I broke that down, and when I was able to break that down, I could see where I could, if I wanted to add another actor, I could do that. Or if I wanted to splurge on a bigger name actor and things of that nature, I could do that. So looking back at it, I shot Marked Man in late 2010, and I paid $16,000 for it. Knowing what I know now, some things I just overpaid for. Part of it is, especially being a new producer at the time, you don't really know. So a lot of these things, these mistakes, I had to learn by myself. So when I did the budget, I know I overpaid for actors. I probably got pretty good deals on equipment, props. The crew was a very small crew, and we worked well. So when you guys do your film, just make sure you have someone who can go over your budget with you, look at it and see where you could probably save money. When I say save money, I don't mean save money at the detriment of your film. If you need to, pay a cost, and there's no way around that cost, then that's just what you have to pay. I probably could save myself, $3,000 to $4,000. I didn't have that luxury, so I learned the hard way, and I was, I had to put in a full $16,000. Another thing that I did when I made my film, I wanted people to take it serious, and one of the best things you could do to make your film look legitimate is to hire legitimate people. And by that I mean actors. I wanted the film to look very professional, so you want to go through the unions, or I wanted to go through the unions at least, and I wanted to go through SAG-AFTRA. When I did it, I don't believe they had merged at the time. I think this was like the late stages of them getting ready to merge. But I wanted my actors to be SAG. I wanted to be able, when I did my casting, to be able to hire professional actors. And this is not a knock against non-union actors. I used to be a non-union actor. That whole thing of unionizing a film, especially when you've never done it before, so it's a really daunting task. You know, SAG is this big union who really fights for their members. So I really knew like how detrimental it could be if I mess something up. So if you are able to go through SAG and use that as a resource to get professional actors, I definitely encourage you to take the time to either learn the process or get someone on your team who is familiar with the process. The next point is finding the crew. Finding the crew for a $16,000 film in New York City is extremely tough. You know, especially when you want to make a film that is like your calling card. I really didn't want to skim on a few things. I didn't want to skim on the production value. So I want to make sure I had a crew who was capable of delivering a great production on camera. But I didn't have a lot of money. Typically, you know, a DP, worth its salt, a really good one, could cost you anywhere from $400 to $500 a day. So in 2010, it was probably a little bit less. And with $16,000, you just can't pay, these types of rates. So I really got really creative with the way I approached this problem. What I found really easy was really just hire a DP, kind of give them a budget. Obviously, you can't give them everything budget-wise. However, I gave him a pretty good budget to hire his own crew, take care of any equipment packages. I gave it to him and left it up to him. In return, he had a network. He had some connections to camera equipment. He was able to help me cut deals that I wouldn't be able to cut myself, being a new producer. So that was how I was able to get my crew. And as we talk further, that's how I got a fairly decent amount of my equipment. And before I lose my train of thoughts, one of the most important crew member is the director. The director that I found for this film, how I found them, I used Craigslist, to be frank with you. And I know Craigslist at that time. I mean, I'm not sure what the reputation is now because I'm never on Craigslist. At that time, Craigslist was this wild west where you didn't really know what you were getting. However, from my filmmaking experience, I've met a ton of legit people using that platform. So don't knock it. I was able to find my director. He had a really great grasp of the material and what my vision was, and pretty much I hired him. So yeah, that's how I found my crew. Use Craigslist, and I use department heads to help me find the people I needed to shoot. The other thing that I did that was really important for me to shoot the film was finding the locations. The locations, that kind of goes back to my first point with developing the script. I didn't have, like I said before, I didn't have a lot of money, and I wanted to shoot something that was not so location heavy. I think I had 4 locations. I had a couple interior scenes where I shot in my apartment building. I had the bodega, and I think I paid the bodega owner, I want to say like $500 or $600. And then the other locations were just streets. We just picked random streets in New York City that kind of worked, and that's how we did it. We only paid for that one location at the bodega. I wanted to shoot everything very local in Brooklyn, where I was staying at the time, and also I only had three nights to shoot it. Another thing that I talked about when I was talking about the crew was equipment and prop rentals. That was really helped out by the crew. Like I said before, we shot on the Red Epic. My DP had a inn at a camera house. We were able to rent it for a very great rate. I want to say we paid $600 for those 3 days, those 3 nights, and that was with everything. That's not just the camera. That's with all the bells and whistles. And then I actually had to go to a rental house, rent lights, C-stands, and everything else that the crew needed. One story kind of sticks out to me during that process of getting equipment. So we were shooting these scenes. The DP comes up to me and tells me, "Hey, Greg, we are able to use these lights for this scene that we're doing now, but I know for the next day, since we're going to be all exteriors, that we need another light. This is the weekend, and if you know, in the city, the rental houses are closed on either Saturday or Sunday. They're closed one of the days, so I wasn't able to just, hey, call them up, hey, I need another light. So as soon as we wrapped that Friday, I was on the internet emailing people. I posted the ad on Craigslist out, and then I got a couple of hits of people who were able to get this particular light. I found this guy. He drove up from upstate New York. He left me the light, and the production went on without a hitch. As a producer, you kind of have to put out fires or acquire things that your team needs to be successful. Yeah, so like the equipment that I used, I would say half of it was through crew, and the other half was through the traditional rental houses. The other thing that was really important was the casting process. As a former actor, acting is very important to me. I put a premium on the acting. I'm so used to doing the casting process, being in front of the camera, doing the audition. So when I actually made my first film, that was my first time actually behind the camera, actually auditioning other people. And it was a really cool process. I rented out a really good studio, very high end. They had a camera set up, a laptop set up. It had a technician operating the computer. The actor would come in, they would do their thing, and at the end of the night, performances of the actors were sent to me via a link, and I was able to watch them at home and pick and choose who I wanted to see back. These actors' portrayal were really important. And through that process, I was able to make, some really great friends who are still friends with me now. The other thing that helped me was the production schedule. The production schedule is always a tricky thing. Depending on how much money you have, that kind of dictates how many days you're able to shoot, because you're kind of, averaging what it will cost you to shoot per day, depending on certain scenarios and certain fixed costs. I knew that if we had a fourth day, I probably would be able to shoot the film. I had no idea if I would be able to edit the film or do any kind of post, or do a fairly decent post-production job for the film. We kind of settled on a 3-night schedule. We shot this in July, so I don't remember. I think the nights are longer during the summer. I know that we had to about we probably started at 6, like 5 or 6 was the set call, and we probably ended the shoot at like 3 or 4. So we had 8 to 10 hour days. Some people less than that. So because we knew everything had to be shot at night, we knew we had to shoot at certain times, just so that we're able to get the scenes to look consistently like the same night, because all the action are supposed to happen all in one night. So we had to make sure that we shot pretty much at the same time as much as possible. And we were able to get away with a lot more stuff that we probably wouldn't be able to do during the day. I know we were shooting a trailing shot. So we had the director, we had the camera, the DP / camera operator in a truck. We had him harnessed inside of the truck, and then we had the car that was following the truck, and we had the doors open, and we're driving around in Brooklyn. This is at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, and no one's there. There's no cops there, there's nobody on the streets. So we were able to really do some even though we have permits, we were able to do some things that we probably wouldn't have been allowed to do if we were doing this during the day. So those 3, like I said, 8 to 10 hour days worked perfectly, and we're able to get everything done. So I've gone through what I had to do through the pre-production, development, and even the production phase. So all those things were done. We got the film shot, everything's in the can. The rental equipment is returned, props are returned. Now we're getting into post-production, and the post-production was a whole nother beast. This being my first experience in doing film, I had no idea all the details or what was detailed or needed in post-production. I knew that you needed an editor, but I overlooked, certain things that now I know are very key. Sound design, a sound editor. I'd never heard the term Foley artist. So there's a lot of different things that I had no idea about. I just took the lead of my director. He directed before. He knew friends who were editors. He had a friend who was a composer. He had a friend who did sound design. And so basically all I needed to do was I needed to obviously finance the thing, and I just overseed it, because everybody was here locally in New York City. All I needed to do was kind of check in, see what they needed, see what was missing, see what I wanted to add to the production. Like I said, this film was only shot for $16,000, and that includes post-production. However, again, just being resourceful, me and the director, we were lock and step on this project. So we knew what was needed and how we wanted it to turn out. That money that I would have saved during the production, that money probably would have been transferred to the post-production, if anything. I think the post-production of the film is pretty decent. There's definitely some things that we weren't able to fix. There's some sound issues that are prevalent in the short film that, unless you're really listening for it, you really don't know. There's I'm not gonna give it up. If you figure it out, leave a comment on that video. I'll leave a link to a card for the video right here. Every time I watch it, I just hear it. I always wish I had more money to really fix that issue, so that it wouldn't be, so I wouldn't hear it, so I wouldn't go crazy. So like I said, that $3,000 to $4,000 would have went to the post production. I wish it could have been better, but at the time, that was the best I could do. All in all, shooting a short film for $16,000, I think the film looks, pretty good. So the conclusion for this video, shooting a film for $16,000, $16,000 is not a lot of money for anything. I didn't get paid for this short film because obviously this was more important to me to actually get it shot. However, when you shoot something for this lower budget, you really have to know why you're shooting it. I think that's really important. Why is it so important for you to shoot this film for, however much money that it costs you to shoot it for? This was supposed to be a calling card for me as a producer and my production company at that time. It was a really good calling card, and it really got me a really good foot into the industry. Nowadays, I don't know how many films can be actually shot for $16,000. I'm pretty sure you could probably still shoot a short film, but you really have to be able to get, things done for practically no money, in kind favors, things of that nature. The key thing about this is you need to be resourceful. So when I've made my films for much more money, I still use these same principles of being able to save money. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you guys enjoy the content of my journey, my filmmaking journey, how I made my first film. I would love to hear your story. If you have some interesting stories of how you made your first film, your first micro budget film, or your very first short film or student film or whatever, I would love to hear your stories. What were your takeaways? What things you would do differently for when you shot that then to where you are now? Leave comments. Love to discuss, or shoot me an email. But like I said in the beginning, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.